Greetings, acolytes, and welcome back to the archives. I sense that your knowledge in terms of the Sith has peaked. Very well. Today we are bringing you something quite special. The Sith Order are quite formidable, being the primary antagonist of basically all of Star Wars. You cannot go through any Star Wars story without considering and encountering the Sith at one single point. No matter how hopeful and bright the future may seem, the Sith Order will always return, more vicious and powerful than ever, as we have seen in the eras past. So, my friends, today we are going to deduce which era of the Sith is truly the most formidable. We're going to be judging it on a numerous amount of criteria. The first and foremost one is going to be how close they came to destroying the Jedi Order, and how most further along they came with achieving the Sith's ultimate goal of dominating the Jedi. Furthermore, the second category that we are going to be analysing today is how prominent the dark side was in these eras. Combining these two together, we believe we have accurately determined an overall categorized list of the most prominent and powerful Sith empires and their eras within the Sith. The following eras will be included. We will be including the Lost Tribe of the Sith, the Brotherhood of Darkness, the Exiles Empire, Darth Andedu's Sith Empire, King Adas's era, Marka Ragnos' Golden Age of the Sith, Tulak Horde's Empire, the Sith Purebloods from 100,000 years before the Sith arrived on Korriban, the Banite lineage, Vitiate's Empire, Darth Krayt's Rule of One, and Darth Sidious's Galactic Empire. So, my friends, join us as we welcome into Tier 5 and begin this list that will truly determine which era of the Sith truly stakes its claim as the most prominent in the galaxy. Starting off, we have decided to go into Tier 5, where we have decided to place the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Lost Tribe of the Sith. The Brotherhood of Darkness, while it was a formidable empire, and the dark side was reasonably prominent, roughly taking up about one half of the Force at the time due to the fact the Jedi. The Brotherhood of Darkness's ideology was a complete failure and required correction that Darth Bane would ultimately bring to it. The Brotherhood of Darkness was formidable and led various crusades on the planet of Ruusan against the Jedi Order and the Army of Light, including Lord Hoth, a Jedi Lord, and yes, you heard me correctly, a Jedi Lord. However, Lord Khan's ideology regarding the one Sith, seeing that all Sith was equal, in an attempt to disdain and improvise infighting, was something that the Sith in the other eras would never do, and hence why he is in Tier 5. The Lost Tribe of the Sith may perk some interest and intrigue from the members of the audience, as while the Lost Tribe of the Sith were immeasurably powerful, with Sarasu Talon and Darish Vol both being exceptionally formidable beings, with Darish Vol being regarded as Abeloth as a great portion of Luke Skywalker's own strength in the Force after a mind clash where he exploited her emotional vulnerability, and Sarasu Talon single-handedly being the most powerful Sith Lord in history, after exposing himself to one half of Abeloth's own power, being able to telekinetically blitz and manipulate a Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. Obviously, the dark side was reasonably prominent in these areas. However, the reason we have decided to place him in Tier 5 was that the dark side just wasn't prominent enough as the eras we will see, and also due to the fact that the Lost Tribe of the Sith was primarily in hiding. Although the Lost Tribe of the Sith would emerge alongside Abeloth to fight her, the Lost Tribe of the Sith in the events of galactic history didn't impact that much in the wider scheme of the galaxy, and were widely a sect of Darkseid Force users that were distant from the actual Sith Order, and were just a sect of the Sith who broke off and disbanded from Naga Sadow's Sith Empire in 5000 BBY after the death of Lord Marka Ragnos. Continuing with this, we have decided to go into Tier 4. We have deduced it is only fitting to place the Exile Sith Empire, Darth Andedu Sith Empire, and King Adas's rule, the Reign of the Axe. Starting off with the most famous, we have the Exiles. The Exiles Empire requires no introduction. The Exiles, being the first Dark Lords of the Sith, the Jedi, travelled to Korriban after being exiled by their Jedi, and encountered the native Sith purebloods, enslaving them, and promising that they could recharge the galaxy, and subjugated under the rule of the dark side of the Force, encapsulating and beheading the king Hakagram Grash, a Junta Paul, the first Sith in all of Star Wars, seized the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith, and became the one Dark Lord, until Karnas Mur, his fellow rival, and perhaps the only Sith who surpassed him, would eventually succeed him. The exiled Sith Empire was reasonably small, which is why we cannot place them anywhere else, and very well could be in the tier previously. However, the primary reason we have decided to place them in the tier 4 is due to the fact that the exiles caused the Jedi so much trouble. They were able to, with only roughly 100 members, keep out the Jedi and have a 100-year war with them in the 100-year darkness, fighting against the Jedi, who had thousands upon thousands of members at this time, and almost as many as they would have during the era of the Clone Wars. Roughly around 5,000 members of the Jedi Order participated in these battles, and yet in the 100 Dark Jedi, all the Jedi were continuously repulsed by their power. The dark side, while not being very prominent, still left a mark on the galaxy, as the Jedi knew that the Sith were still alive, and it was their decision to exile them to Korriban, something would ultimately prove to be the Jedi Order's most fatal and greatest mistake. Moving on, we have Darth Endedu's Sith Empire, another one which probably could have been placed in tier 5. Darth Endedu's Sith Empire is placed here purely due to the fact that a lot of the dark side knowledge that was discovered was founded by Darth Endedu himself, and in many ways, he is the dark side hub of Sith lore and knowledge in the entirety of Star Wars. Emperor Vitiate, who lived for over 1500 years, could be considered a close contender for the title of most knowledgeable Sith on Sith lore and rituals. However, this goes to Darth Endedu. Endedu did not wage a war with the Jedi. However, he enabled the Sith to prosper, and while he hoarded many of his most treasured secrets to himself, such as the coveted secret of immortality and essence transfer, he still allowed the dark side to be rather prominent, as well as his empire be powerful, as it predated the empire of Tulak Horde and of Marka Ragnos. Moving on, we have the reign of King Adas. King Adas, also known as the Reign of the Axe, was an empire that was largely prominent in the Star Wars galaxy, existing 20,000 years before the dawn of the Sith Order exactly. King Adas was an exceptionally formidable Sith pureblood with charcoal black skin. And the reason he is in tier 4 is the reason of Adas himself. King Adas slaughtered armies of Rakata. The dark side was so prominent in these eras, it was considered that the light side was almost extinct. Not just due to Adas, he had help with the Rakata, but Adas's influence and power in the Force certainly aided the shifts in the Force and the flows through it, sending tremors through it. Adas was ultimately killed, however, by the Rakata in 27,700 BBY, 20,700 years before the arrival of the Dark Jedi exiles on Korriban. And now, my friends, we have entered Tier 3. Tier 3, we are kicking off with a boom with the Golden Age of the Sith, the reign of Tulak Horde, and the Sith Pureblood Empire. I know what you're thinking, Acolytes. Confusion might be sprouting up. Why have we placed the Golden Age of the Sith Empire in here instead of in the later tiers? Marka Ragnos pioneered this age of the Sith Empire and was widely regarded by many as one of the most powerful Force users to have ever existed, unquestionably within the top 20, perhaps even the top 10 most powerful Sith Lords in all of history. Marka Ragnos, after defeating his fellow rival and Sith Lord Simus in a duel for the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith, pioneered the Golden Age. The Sith Empire prospered in this era more than they ever would in all of galactic history. Marka Ragnos insinuated all of this, and he was one of the only Sith to actually die of natural causes, incurring so much fear even on his deathbed, his rivals failed to slay him. Marka Ragnos used his dark side power to train Tenebrae, Tenebrae obviously being potentially the most powerful dark side wielder in history. Marka Ragnos and the large majority of the galactic events that would continue for the next 1500 years after his death all went back to Marka Ragnos. Influence is one of the main things that we are analysing in our criteria, and that is why we have placed Marka Ragnos' Sith Empire, the Golden Age of the Sith, in Tier 3. Next, we have Tulak Horde's Sith Empire. Tulak Horde, also known as the Master of Hate and Lord of Gathering Darkness, is an exceptionally formidable Sith in his own right. However, his empire was nearly as vast. Tulak Horde was capable of manipulating the Force in such a way that he was regarded as the most powerful Sith duelist to have ever existed. Tulak Horde engaged the Jedi, roughly a century after the reign of Darth Endedu had ended and he had fled to Prakkath in the Deep Core. Tulak Horde became the Dark Lord of the Sith and engaged the Jedi, Hoth single-handedly slew thousands of Jedi, felling more Jedi than even Darth Vader and Darth Malgus, as well as even Palpatine and Bane. Tulak Hord made the dark side so prominent in this era that he slaughtered thousands of Jedi single-handedly. He single-handedly broke the Jedi sieges on 2 worlds, and it was said by his main advisor, Ken Valor, that thousands of Jedi lay dead in the aftermath. Now, the final entry in Tier 3, we have the era of the Sith purebloods. Sith pure-blooded kings who reigned before the creation of the Jedi and the Republic itself, and even before the rise of the Rakatan Infinite Empire. The Sith purebloods may have sparked some curiosity and enragement within the crowd, as they are widely regarded as a weak empire. However, we have to understand the second criteria, how powerful and prominent the dark side is. The light side was largely in this point unexplored and uninhabited. The light side would only be discovered by the Jedi and the original Jedi Order in the events of roughly 25,000 years before Zero BBY and the Battle of Yavin. The Sith purebloods did not govern galactic affairs. They did not subjugate the galaxy. However, what they did do was make the dark side so prominent in these eras. It was regarded as more prominent in these eras than any other era until the rise of Sidious and Krait's galactic empire. While the light side acolytes were extinct, there was none in the galaxy. No cults had been founded, save a few. And even these were just smidgens in the sea of the dark side power that the Sith purebloods commanded. And they very well could be placed in Tier 2. In Tier 2, we have only deduced that it is fitting to place one single lineage of darkness within its confines. So, welcome Darth Bane's lineage. We are not considering Palpatine's galactic empire in this, and we are purely considering the Baneite lineage that stretched from Darth Bane and Darth Xena to Darth Tenebrous and Darth Plagueis, as afterwards Plagueis and Sidious sort of went and did their own thing, and established a hierarchy, manipulating political affairs under the guise of Hugo Damask and Chancellor Palpatine. The Baneite lineage needs no introduction. Bane saw through the mere inconsequential power of the Brotherhood of Darkness, seeing through the lies of Lord Khan. He saw that infighting was actually made the Sith stronger, as it eventually, over time, would build up the Sith. So he engineered the perfect philosophy, the Rule of Two, something that no Star Wars fan would be unfamiliar with. The Rule of Two is a hierarchical system that has every single generation of Sith get stronger, with it starting off with Darth Bane. Darth Bane's own apprentice in Xana killed her master, and ultimately the lineage stretched on until Darth Plagueis snapped the Bith Darth Tenebrous's neck in the caves of Apatros while mining for Cortosis. And because of this, we believe Darth Bane's Baneite lineage, being the lineage that would ultimately culminate into the ultimate destruction and obliteration of the Jedi Order, firmly belongs in Tier 2. Now we get up to the big hitters, Tier 1. As a little teaser, we have only placed 3 characters and 3 legacies in all of the lore in Tier 1. All of these beings are avatars of the dark, have established their Sith empire so prominently, so powerful, that it is widely regarded as the greatest Sith empire, an empire to have ever dominated the galaxy. For Tier 1, the only candidates that we deemed worthy in our attempt to create balance is Vitiate's Sith empire, Darth Krait's Rule of One, and Darth Sidious's Galactic Empire. Darth Vitiate's empire was the only empire before Sidious and the Baneite lineage that actually succeeded in destroying the Jedi Order. The Sith overthrew Coruscant, with Darth Malgus and Lord Adras leading the charge. They destroyed the Jedi, killed every single Padawan and Jedi Master there, even the acclaimed Blade Master Ven Zalo, with Malgus impaling him personally. The Sith then bargained Coruscant, and the Republic, wary of the Sith's orbital bombardment threats, exiled the Jedi Order to Tython, their ancestral homeworld. Vitiate very well would have dominated the Republic, but it was all foiled by one man. That man was Revan. Revan imparted his psychic input on the Emperor, forcing him to make a peace treaty, and a Cold War was waged for the next decade. After the Cold War, the Sith Empire would be at war once again. But when the Jedi Knight known as the Hero of Tython would assail the ranks of the Jedi Order, kill Vitiate, Vitia's spirit would flee to Yavin 4, and then later Zyos, draining the ancient Sith ancestral homeworld of all Force energy, rejuvenating itself, becoming Valkorion, the immortal emperor of the Eternal Empire. Moving on, we have Darth Krayt's one Sith philosophy. Darth Krayt's one Sith philosophy was near perfect, and which is widely regarded as the greatest Sith empire in history. Darth Krayt successfully destroyed the Jedi Order during the massacre of Ossus. Luke Skywalker was now dead. All of the Skywalkers except for one was eliminated. Darth Krayt now held the galaxy in his grasp, and he was determined to do everything he could. The reason we have placed Darth Krayt's empire in Tier 1, and the reason his era of Sith was so powerful, was due to the fact of Darth Krayt himself. Darth Krayt was regarded as possibly one of the most powerful dark side Force users to have ever lived, on par with Palpatine and Vitiate even, in regards to its power, and someone who was capable of fighting alongside Grandmaster Luke Skywalker against Abeloth, the accursed dark side entity. Darth Krayt uses one of Sith philosophy in order to gain absolute obedience. With Darth Talon, Krayt's most loyal and trusted advisor, even claimed that she would cut out her own heart if Krayt demanded her to, due to the utmost loyalty. However, Darth Krayt's empire relied on one single thing, himself, and if Darth Krayt were to ever die, the entire empire would shatter to pieces, and the Sith would be driven back into hiding once again. Which is why it can be argued that the empire that we are now going to explore could be argued above it. Now, we have reached the undisputed ruler of the Sith Empire, that of Darth Sidious's galactic empire. What more to say? Darth Sidious successfully dominated the Jedi Order, while Vitiate dominated the Jedi and primarily exterminated them. He drove them off to Tython, allowing them to meddle. This is something Vitiate would never allow now. However, Palpatine was the one who truly exploited this. Palpatine made sure that all the Jedi were exterminated, until there were about 30 Jedi left, deeming them not a problem, and having Vader assigned on other tasks. While Jedi were considered enemies of the Galactic Empire, Palpatine no longer saw them as a threat to his plans, and so ultimately ceased elimination. Palpatine plunged the galaxy into an era of darkness. He imposed his will across the galaxy. The only beings who were capable of standing up to him were the rebels. Palpatine exerted his entire control and dark side power over the Galactic Empire, making him more brutal, tyrannical, and vicious than any other empire, with the exception of perhaps the Yuzong Vong and the Rakatan Infinite Empire. Well, my acolytes, what did you think of this video? Do you agree with our ranking? And what would you rank the Sith eras in terms of power and the dark side of the Force, prominence, as well as how close they came to destroying the Jedi Order? Farewell, my friends. I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away. And remember, kneel before the dragon of Zaku.